Hey everyone, Eric here from Hook and Arrow North, and with spring right around the corner, we all know what sound we are soon to be hearing. Them spring toms. So, what better time to start building them arrows? So, hit that like and subscribe, and follow along. Alright guys, let's go over some of the products we'll be using for this arrow build. First and foremost, the arrow. Easton 5.0 300 spine. Very nice arrow. Light GPI, very buildable on whether you're turkey hunting, deer hunting, elk hunting, whatever you may be hunting. For wraps, I'll be using these whitewater arrow wraps, just some white honeycomb and black. I just think they'll look good. Personal preference, you don't need them. For vanes, we'll be using the TAC 2.25 driver vanes. Normally I use the driver 2.75 and 3 Fletch, but I'll be 4 fletching these, so I'm using a smaller profile, 1 extra fletching. Tack glue, obviously. For hardware, we'll be using these Easton hit collars to beef up the front end. I already have these pre-cut and the inserts already in. That's in a different video. For nocks, we'll be using these green nocturnals. And for the broadhead, we'll be using these Rage Turkey Extreme broadheads. I have not used these before, so it'll be a first for me. For the fletching jig, we'll be using October Mountain Phoenix fletching jig. I love this jig. It's pretty much foolproof right out of the box. Just watch a few videos and you'll have her all set. So that should be it for this. So let's get to building. Alright guys, first step is prepping your arrow shafts. And for that, we are going to be using some acetone. Just put a little bit on our eggs, all you need. Let them dry a little bit. Continue with the wrap. Alright guys, once they've had a chance to dry, let's install these arrow wraps. Now these are from Whitewater. They're fairly simple to put on. This is how I like to do it. You can do whichever way you like. White towards the back. I like to line it up. It does stick to your fingers, so I like using one of these pointy tools. Line it up there. Simply take your arrow, line it up with the nock. Once you get her sticked, I like to take my finger, make sure that seam is good. One done. Just repeat the process. I'm only building 2 arrows today. Just like so. It's as easy as that. Next, we're on to fletching. Alright guys, some of you may be wondering, is there a certain way to fletch an arrow? In my mind and opinion, yes. Now you can there's 3 different ways to fletch them. You can fletch them to the left, to the right, or straight. Now it doesn't matter whether you have 3 fletch, 4 fletch, 6 fletch, whatever you want to do, whatever you have room for on your arrow, to be honest. Now, I'm fletching mine to the left because I know that my arrow naturally turns to the left out of my bow. And to test that, all you have to do is you got to take your arrow you're using, take the bare shaft, mark it on the end, shoot it 4 to 6 feet away into a target, and see if that mark that was on the top when you set it up is to the left or to the right. That way you find out which way your bow naturally is twisting your arrow. So out of my Hoyt, it is naturally twisting to the left, so I will be fletching it to the left. Now, I will be using a left helical clamp. I like helical, which means that your vane is slightly curved from the get-go. I also have a straight clamp to do an offset straight if I feel like it. Now, most arrows naturally come helical to the right or offset to the right if you buy a pre-fletched arrow. So, but this way you can customize on how you want to do things and have the arrow not fight its natural way it wants to go in the first place. So for today, I would be doing a left helical with a 2-degree offset to the left. I believe in steerage is important when it comes to broadhead, especially a bigger broadhead like this Turkey Extreme I'll be using today. And that is how I will be fletching my arrows. All right, guys. Now, before I go to fletch, what I do is I set my jig up to where the seam of my wrap will get covered with one of my vanes. That way it has extra contact on that seam and it's more likely not to come off. Not that it will, but it's just extra security. So grab your vane, put it in your jig. I already have it pre-marked, as you can see. You take this primer pen from TAC. If you use their products, it's guaranteed adhesion. You just one, but make sure that it is wet, otherwise it will not work. Then what I do is I take this tack glue, I put one dot in the front, one in the middle on these smaller veins, and then one on the end. And what I do is I just take it and run it across. Make sure there's no air gaps. And then you simply put it in your jig like so. Make sure the back is there. And you just put it down, make sure you have good contact, and leave it sit for about, they say 5 seconds, and they say the magnet's strong enough to hold it there, but I just hold it for 10 seconds just to make sure. And then after that, you just repeat the process. So you unclamp it, do that, knock it, and repeat the process. Can blow on it to get it to dry a little faster. And 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, spread. Count to 10. And then just keep repeating. And you know, there's other jigs to do this too. This is just one of the newer ones. It seemed the easiest to use, simplest to use. There's the old-fashioned good old bits if you're used to that. But for the price point, you can do so much with this with not a whole lot of thinking or measuring. Everything's preset, and it's just been a pleasure to use. And it's so simple and yet so satisfying when you get an end result that you are really proud of. And our last one. Once again, just go up, down with the primer. We'll blow so it's dry. 2, 3. Spread it good. And hold. Now, there'll probably be a little bit of glue residue. I will be getting a Q-tip more than likely and be wiping that clean. And then there you have it. Your 4 Fletch arrow. I'll do time lapse on the last one so you don't have to sit through all that again. But yeah, that's how it's done. And there you have it. 2 4-fletched arrows. Alright guys, now that we've finished fletching our arrows, let's go over some of the products we are going to be installing on the front end of the arrow and to the rear. First thing we're going to be doing is beefing up the front shaft of this arrow with these Easton hit collars. These are the number 2, which fits your standard 5mm arrow. I've already installed the hit inserts that came with these arrow shafts. Those I have done in a previous video, so check that out if you'd like. Then, on the rear, we are going to installing these Nocturnal X-Nox. I love Nocturnal. Have nothing but good things to say about them. Never had any issues or failures. 20+ hour battery life. They come in a multitude of colors. I like green or red. I am choosing green. And for the front end, we are using these Rage Turkey Extreme expandable broadheads. I have not used these forever, to be honest. They have been out for a while, and this will be my first spring using them. So that is what we'll be building these arrows with. So let's get started. All right, like I said, the first thing we are going to do is put our hit collars on to beef up the front of the shaft. These things easily slip on just like so. Next, we are going to be putting on these Turkey broadheads from Rage called the Turkey Extremes. Now, as you can see, that is a heck of a broadhead. Now, as you can see, it has these meat hooks. Now, these are made to impale, but not go through. So when you shoot the turkey, it is supposed to stick in the body. The arrow is supposed to stay in there so it can't just run and fly off, and you're supposed to be able to recover your bird faster because as this is moving around, as it's running away, it's just inflicting more damage. So we shall see how they work. Now, these still use these standard collars. I don't know if you can see. But they also come with these red ones for crossbows, for more high energy, faster speeds, so they don't open prematurely. I'm guessing that's the concept. So yes, you can use these broadheads for standard bows and crossbows if needed. And all you do is you take these broadheads, fold them up, be very careful. I like to hold them here on the blunt ends. You take these collars. Now, it's hard to zoom in, but there is a certain way to put them on. You just put them on. Take your arrow. And as you push, it tightens. There you go. Now they won't open until hit. Then after that, we'll be taking these knocks out. Now, I use a pliers. You want to be careful. If you want to reuse them, don't want to wreck them. Simple as that. Take your nocturnals, and if you bought the right ones, they should slip in with some tightness. If y'all haven't seen them when they turn on, there you go. And to simply turn them off, there's a slot right here in the side. Just take something sharp, whether it's your knife, another broadhead, or whatever you got that might fit in there. You click it up and they turn off. All right, guys, for anyone who is wondering how much these actually weighed, let's go figure that out. Tear that out. First arrow. 503.4. Let's see how close we got. .504. About a half a grain difference. I can't complain about that too bad considering all the components we put on. So there you have it. There's the weight of the arrows. And lastly, why not do a spin test, right? Beautiful. No wobble at all. There you have it. Straight arrows. All equipped. Hey y'all, that'll do it for today's video. I hope you learned something about arrow building today, at least the way I do it. And as always, shoot straight, tight lines. See you on the next one.